I just caught some of a Joe Rogan episode. He's talking to a British engineer, and they're talking about drill marks made on granite in ancient Egypt. And this engineer has figured out that the Egyptologists and the archaeologists don't know shit about these drill marks on solid granite. Now, this engineer doesn't necessarily have all the answers, but he knows that the so-called academics going through ancient Egyptian history don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. And what's so wild about that is you would think the goal is truth. Like we want to know the truth. How did these drill marks from thousands of years ago come to exist on solid granite? Drill marks that we can't replicate today. But a lot of people don't want to know. You know why? They get paid to be blank. They get paid to not know. Not knowing is why they get paid. Their power is not knowing. They want to be the arbiter of truth, even if it's clearly not truth. They get paid. Look at a place like modern America right now. So many people know the right way. They know the right thing. However, they get paid to keep their mouth shut. That's the way it works. Or, for example, you run some fund with a shitty strategy, but it mints fees. You just keep your mouth shut. A lot of the investors don't really check it out. They don't really dig deep. So everyone is happy, supposedly, until, of course, the dam breaks. But I thought starting with Rogan and this British engineer looking at drill marks in Egypt, it got me thinking about my trend following perspective. Let's take a step back. Think about some big moves in the last 6 months. Japanese yen, cocoa, gold, Bitcoin, Nvidia. Now, the average American probably doesn't give a shit about the yen. They're not trading it, and only so many people travel to Japan. So who cares? And cocoa? Okay. Cocoa prices went up. Your candy bar is going to cost more money. Who cares? Gold is up. Gold bugs have been around for a long time. Who cares? Nvidia makes AI chips. Maybe AI is a scam. Maybe it's not. Nvidia's up. Great. I made some money. Bitcoin. Hey, we hate the fucking Fed. It's up and down. Great. Whatever. But people always think in narratives. I mean, I just gave many narratives for those 5 market moves. But what the hell do those narratives have to do with anything? Did anybody really predict these moves? And if they did, was it even relevant? No one predicts a damn thing. You can't make bets that way. You can't manage your risk that way. All you can do is have the perspective of, let me be ready, and when something takes off, don't ask too many questions. Just get on the fucking rocket ship. That's all you can do. And what you can also do, you can look at those 5 markets in terms of what they have in common. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I don't know anything about yen. I don't know anything about cocoa. I don't know anything about gold or Nvidia or Bitcoin. I barely know anything. The greatest traders in the world barely know anything about those 5 markets. All they care about is that they are the same because of price. They are made the same because of price. You don't have to know the name of any of those markets to have traded them. Let that sink in. As you glue yourself to untold hours, I'm not saying you, I mean, hell, I know a lot of people listening to me don't do this, but a lot of people do. They glue themselves to untold hours of CNBC and Bloomberg, like a daily intravenous drip of information. Let me get more information. Now, I love X, but I got to tell you, If you tune into X, it's all about opinions and information. What are you supposed to do with it? Why is it relevant? If you didn't have to know the name of NVIDIA to trade it, if you didn't have to know anything about cocoa to trade it, then what are all the voices? Daily, nonstop, 24/7. What are all those voices useful for? Now, sure, some of these people are smart. Some of them are not. But the voices don't help you. In a weird way, with trend following, it's difficult to explain because you don't have something to say every day. Even from my perspective, it's about giving a story of how a trend following move happened in hindsight, meaning to explain to people that don't understand trend following, here's how trend following happened. It's not about, hey, let me tell you what is happening right now today that is relevant to you. If you ask someone like me, or an Ed Sakota, or a Larry Height, tell me what's happening today. And I received that question recently, an email. Tell me what's happening today. And they always ask it in a way where they think they're smart. And if you don't answer it how they're asking it, you're the dummy. Hey, can you tell me what's happening today? Like that's a legitimate question. It's not a legitimate question. It's an insane question. For anybody on this planet, for any particular reason, to look to somebody else and just say, what's happening today? Okay, if you don't have any friends and you just want to talk, okay, I get it. But this sure as hell isn't market analysis, market strategy. So making everything a number when, let's face it, everything is a number when it comes to the markets. But in your mind, making everything a number, it's wonderful. All of the fears and concerns, comparing yourself to your neighbor, they just go away. Why do you care anymore? I mean, if you're a trend following trader and you have your basket of markets that you're going to follow, you don't know what's going to happen when the year starts. And all of a sudden, cocoa takes off. It goes to the moon. You make a lot of money. You don't know why. Knowing the why, if you possibly could know the why, didn't help you. And then eventually the market goes down. It's just one big ebb and flow. How do you capture the ebb and flow? Back to my comment about X. Do you capture the ebb and flow because you listen to untold voices on X? One voice saying this, the other voice saying that? What the fuck do you do with that information? Put it in some big hot pot and it spits out what? A number? Well, hell, you already had the number. You didn't need to listen to everybody. I just find trend following absolutely fascinating and always have. The fact that the strategy developed and was imagined is amazing. And the fact that so many people don't know what it is or how it is or why it works, that's amazing. And it hasn't changed. I'm sure some of you listening have been the type of people that have said at various points in time, trend following is dead. It's dead. It's over. I think we are now safely at the point in 2024 that for at least the people that know of trend following, you can't ever say it's going to be dead. There's a simple reason for this. Why can trend following never die? Why can you always be able to trade yen, cocoa, gold, NVIDIA, Bitcoin? Why? Why does this opportunity exist? How can a strategy be so robust and so durable and so resilient to stay the course and make money? Why? It's a simple reason, a simple answer. There's only one choice. And you know it. People are motherfucking batshit fucking crazy. And with what, almost 8 billion people on the planet, if you possibly think that markets can be efficient, you are brain dead. You maybe have already had your brain carved out of your skull. There's nothing left. There is absolutely no evidence that markets are efficient, except in academic circles. Back to the beginning of this episode, mentioning Joe Rogan and the British engineer. I feel like that British engineer, the outsider coming into the established world without the credentials and then blowing out of the water the academics. I put my work up, my books up against any academic investing finance books. Now, maybe I did not write my books in such a boring ass way as many of the academics do. But the details, the evidence, the data, ladies and gentlemen, I win. Trend following wins. And I find that fascinating. I find it fascinating to be sitting at the catbird seat with this perspective. And again, look, I know there are plenty of people out there listening who have the same perspective. There are plenty of people that came before me that I learned from that have this perspective. But it's amazing. After you watch some of these fantastic moves of the last 6 months, to see so many voices on X just mentally masturbating themselves nonstop, 24/7, just for attention. It's wild, isn't it? But back to my point, why will price always move? Why can markets not be efficient? Well, people are batshit motherfucking crazy. Look around. Do you really think populations, especially in the West, that have gone from thin and healthy to morbidly obese can think straight? I mean, all you have to do is a little bit of research to read what happens to the brain with obesity, to read what happens to the brain with a lack of exercise. Not rocket science. It's well known. So as just one tree leaf, just one piece of information as to why people are batshit motherfucking crazy. Obesity. Look around at some of the social issues. Do you really think people can think clearly if a significant portion of the population thinks there are 36 million genders? How do you go from having a perspective on life like that? I mean, 10 years ago, we had male and female. Now we have 36 million genders. Maybe it's 800 million genders. Who the hell knows? But that's not clear thinking. That's chaos. That's mind chaos. A mind virus, so to speak. And if you could insert a mind virus in so many people so easily over an issue like gender, a made-up word by a crazy person, you can insert anything into anyone's skull. And we're right back to, how the hell can you ever imagine markets could be efficient? Take it a step further. Look around at the numbers of people that trust major media, the numbers of people that trust government pronouncements. If you blur your eyes and you really look at them, they're like clapping seals. Just imagine millions of clapping seals. Whatever the screen tells them, they clap like a seal. Now, I had a version of this idea years ago when I made my documentary film Broke. I went to a sheep farm because I wanted to film sheep. I'd never seen sheep move in a herd, and I never got down close to look in their eyes. And there's some pictures of me doing this on the internet. There's some video in the film. But to get into the middle of a herd of sheep and to look in their eyes, to feel their fear, is amazing. It's a huge light bulb moment. Because going from a herd of sheep to a herd of humans, not exactly a jump. It's too easy. Then add in something like war. Just the sheer act of war equals inefficiency, equals chaos, equals the unknown. But people just trust. They go along. When you think of it this way, how can there ever be rationality in the markets? How can there ever be a voice that tells you what's going to happen next? There can't be, and there isn't. And if you're listening, what the hell's wrong with you? Not that you're listening to me. Hey, I appreciate it. But if you're listening to the voices because you think you're going to be told sweet nothings about what is going to happen tomorrow, how did you get that way? Did you just not study enough? Are you not so bright? Are you scared? If you're any of those things, if you're all of those things, we're right back to inefficient markets. And that's the whole point. This is why trend following excels. Because trend following knows all of this shit is baked into the cake. Trend following knows people are batshit motherfucking crazy. And if they are, you only got one choice, one rational choice. Be ready for when a market starts to move, get on board, don't ask questions, and rock and roll, go with a stop loss. That's it. It's not sexy sounding, but it is the quintessential strategy. It's the strategy that puts you in a place to benefit as the shit hits the fan. Let me add one more nugget to get you thinking about how and why trend following excels. I found a particular X follow that is quite interesting at Triple Net Invest. And this guy just keeps posting real estate transactions from mostly America. But the transactions go something like this. Building bought 5 years ago for 80 million, sold last week for 20 million. It's nonstop data like that. Now, when I look at that data, I don't say to myself, ooh, the bottom's in, or ooh, I'm ready to buy now. I just look at it as a sign of chaos. If you have massive amounts of commercial real estate bought within the last 4 or 5 years, dropping like a stone, dropping like a rock, what do? I mean, you can trust the system, you can buy and hold, you can buy cheap, or you can just realize that you've seen another data point that lays out the inefficiency of markets, the inefficiency of people. And when you have this kind of inefficiency, you got one choice. You can go find some market wizard to learn from. You can learn from me. You can read one of my books. You can listen to the great trend following traders in this podcast. You can somehow or another figure this out inside a chat room that's filled with morons trying to sell you shit. I mean, there's many ways you can go, but you have to go. You have to get there. Now you might be saying, why am I so forceful about why you have to go, why you have to get there? Well, look around. When assorted markets historically have made certain moves, things don't go up forever. Things go down. Are you ready? Do you have a plan? Or are you just trusting the system? Now, here is one I will leave you with when it comes to trusting the system. The vast majority of people are trusting the system. That's all they can do. It's all they know how to do. But think about what a great opportunity that is. Faced with the chaos we see now, especially with, for example, American interest rates rising. Across this backdrop, with baby boomers into retirement, Inflation still going. The big moves that I've mentioned in this episode as examples, yen, cocoa, gold, Nvidia, Bitcoin. Do you want to trust that everything will just be perfect? Do you want to trust that everything will just go up? Is that where you want to be? Some people will say yes. Some people would rather go with the crowd and get burned with the crowd than step outside the crowd and be right. I think it's a unique time right now. I think we're at a unique place in history that travels all the way back to the dot-com bubble, literally 25 years ago. A continuous thread. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. I could be completely wrong. But that's not the point. The point is to think about all of the volatility that's occurred since the dot-com bubble. To think about how we've moved along U.S. Federal Reserve moves over that time period and where we are today. Name another strategy that's more ready to benefit from the unknown coming than trend following. You can't. And with that, I will see you again next week. If you have any questions for me, I'm easy to reach. Michael@Covel.com. I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up. Until next week. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, Michael@Covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.